So let's look at a concept here that, like, super perfect Cell is the most entertaining one-liner machine, right, in the whole Dragon Ball Z series. Like, this is what a villain should be like, right? That whole episode, I was shocked to see on IMDb. It was like one of the lower-rated episodes, or it was pretty poorly received, and generally maybe people didn't like it. That might be the best episode in the whole Dragon Ball Z, the final battle, which is Gohan versus Cell. I don't know what it's called, but the final Kamehameha beam struggle between obviously Super Perfect Cell and Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. The setup is a little laborious in the previous episodes, right? But that final encounter is what this show should be all about. It's the best final villain death, because if you think about it, Frieza, sure, the Super Saiyan transformation is memorable, but the fight itself drags on, and then he doesn't even die there, right? He cuts himself in half. It's like sort of a blur, right? It's not as cohesive of one beautiful moment or final confrontation. So it's like Frieza toys with Goku for a long time, then Goku finally transforms, then Goku toys with Frieza basically a little bit, honestly, a Super Saiyan, and then humiliates him a bit, and then he cuts himself in half, and then, Frieza survives, and I wonder, I would have always said that, Goku spares Frieza, but actually, when he says, "You fool," and blasts him one last time, maybe he thought Frieza actually did die there, because he was going to leave him for dead, like, not even finish him off when he cuts himself in half, but then Frieza attacks him again. So maybe Goku really didn't think that he was leaving him alive. Maybe Goku really thought he had killed him there, even though he tried to avoid it, when he says, "You fool," and attacks him once more. But Frieza is so durable, right? The same way that Cooler is so durable, that they both survive. And then he gets rebuilt. So within Goku's expectation, right, Frieza probably would have died and should have died. And it's only, it's by Frieza's own doing. Frieza was going to blow up the planet and die in the own explosion that he created. Or Frieza was going to die to his own Destructo Disc type shit. So, in other words, Goku's sort of killing Frieza, but it's like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you, kind of a thing, where, you're kind of doing it to yourself, right? Amid the battle, you destroyed the planet, you cut yourself in half, you are kind of the one responsible. So the one thing with that is the fact that that's not a very memorable defeat. And then even when Frieza comes to Earth and then dies to Trunks, it sort of trivializes it, so it's not as iconic. What's iconic with that isn't so much the fight or the way the fight ends, which again, to most people is probably a blur, right? Some people mistakenly said, Frieza was beaten by a spirit bomb, because, he uses the spirit bomb there, but actually, as much as I say, that's always what you should start with, because it should end the fight, it doesn't kill Vegeta, it doesn't kill Frieza, it only kills Kid Buu at the end. But it's like a plot device type of thing, like, if I'm not strong enough to beat you, I can either use fusion, or I can either use a spirit bomb to bypass the fact that I'm not strong enough, or I guess I could transform magically in the middle of a fight, which, so again, the Super Saiyan transformation is what's memorable about the Frieza fight, but not so much the ending, right, which either is undercut by the fact that, you go to Earth and it's kind of trivialized, or the fact that Frieza survives, or even the fact that the manner in which it happens, it just kind of goes on and on and on. It's not like one distinct final epic struggle, right? The fight between Frieza and Goku, even when Goku's Super Saiyan, is kind of like undercut. It doesn't feel evenly matched. It feels like Goku's still toying with Frieza after Frieza toyed with Goku. So it never feels like truly evenly matched, and again, it sort of just drags on and it's a blur, and there's not like one super memorable thing about it. With Cell, it is memorable because, again, that whole episode is dedicated, like, the beam struggle starts, and the whole episode encompasses the beam struggle. They could destroy the planet, destroy the whole solar system, kill all the main characters. It's high stakes. Cell's not holding back, full power. Gohan's not holding back. He's doubting himself. He's a bit injured, but, it's an all-out thing, and it even encompasses game theory, like, again, all the pieces on the board have to play a part. Trunks is dead and bleeding out, and Vegeta has to overcome his pride and have character development to help, and Cell doesn't think he will because of his pride or because he was knocked out, and so Cell knows Vegeta better than Vegeta knows himself, So he's so confident that he won't help because, not just because, not because he's afraid, but because of his pride won't let him help the son of his rival that, he hates so much, and he's too proud to attack somebody from behind like that. So he's shocked by that more so than doing it out of fear or something like that isn't the issue. And then everyone else has to have their own little monologue and story for why they're helping. Piccolo saying, "You taught me, Gohan, what it means to have a friend," and Yamcha, and Goku motivated me all my life, and Tien, you were my rival at the beginning, and you motivated me to become what I am today. You made us all better people. You were my best friend. Krillin, everybody's having their own relevant monologue and motivation for helping, and they all put their life on the line, and they all help together. So, and Cell is taking on this, really one-liner machine, final, true villain, just so entertaining, right? It's an evenly matched final confrontation that lasts the whole episode, that's memorable, that's one final encapsulated beam struggle that's very iconic and memorable, and a great way to beat a villain. And it uses game theory to show that even Gohan trying his best, even all the Z fighters helping him out, even Goku cheering him on, trying to motivate him, even with all that, it's still not enough, and it requires that one final help from Vegeta to actually qualify how you're able to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to, right? So it's not like, some magical thing. It actually is every piece on the board has to help. If Piccolo and Tien and Yamcha and Krillin don't help, Gohan loses, because that kind of delays him a little bit, right? That kind of distracts him. And then when he deals with them, then Gohan gets pushed back. He's about to lose again. And then, Vegeta has to come in one final time and help. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible. So that's a good game theory explanation. It's not just that, Gohan gets really mad and just wins, right? We get that also he's going all out, and also his dad's motivating him, and also everybody else is helping. But it also required that Vegeta had to do that. So that's good writing, because it might seem simple, but it's good characterization for Vegeta, and it's a good way to qualify it. See, because a lot of things in stories, especially a story like that, would be just like, why does the character win? Just because they have to win. Goku just gets mad and becomes a Super Saiyan just because he has to, and just wins because of that. No, it's like here, Gohan's going all out. He did transform, and it's still not enough. Sure, Cell powers up in a bit of a contrived, stupid way, that he's, blows himself up and becomes way too powerful as a result. That part's a little bit stupid, but the setup is done. So now it's like, you finally get this evenly matched, nobody's toying around, all-out confrontation encapsulated in one episode from start to finish, this epic beam struggle, right? That's the iconic moment of the whole show, the best episode of the whole series, because you have to understand what you're dealing with. And what you're dealing with is the fact that that's a very memorable way to go out. Unlike even Kid Buu, kind of bogs down to a similar thing, like, the Spirit Bomb, but that one's not as memorable because it's kind of too one-sided. Kid Buu pushes it back, and then Goku has to get a wish that, get my power back, and then become like Super Saiyan 2, and then, it seems too easy for Goku at that point. He's just kind of chilling, monologuing, I hope you come back as a better person. Like, that one didn't feel quite as intense. So here you have, again, let's look at the one-liner quote machine, and I'll even try to match his indentation a little bit with saying it. Like, Super Perfect Cell is full on just a one-liner quote machine, and this is what, really a villain should be like. You're thoroughly entertaining, but you have a certain sophistication and suave and confidence with it. Like, he's totally, I don't know how to explain it. That's the most, even Perfect Cell was sort of sophisticated, but now he becomes like a little manic, but in a fun way, like, even when Gohan's doubting himself before the beam struggle starts, like, honestly, I expected this to be a little more dramatic, but if this is all I get, then there's no use in dragging it out. Or he says, this place has been good to me, but all my feasting here is done, but I'd hate to keep leave without cleaning my plate or cleaning up my mess. And then Gohan's talking to his dad, and it's like, look, he's been driven insane by his own fear. Like the fact that he's talking to himself. Like, just think about that. So, I don't know, like as you're watching that for the first time, that's so entertaining to watch. Like no matter what's happening, oh, he's getting a sentimental, cheering up by his dad, and his dad who just died is trying to motivate him. And look, he's been driven insane by his own fear. He's mocking him like he doesn't understand what's happening, but he's like, that's what it must be. He's about to die, so he's talking to himself in his last moments. What are you mumbling about? Chanting a little prayer before you die? He says that later too, as he continues to get motivated by Goku right later on. So he says that before too. Look, he's been driven insane by his own fear as he's first getting motivated by his dad before the beam struggle starts. Then during the beam struggle, as he's also talking to his dad, what on earth are you mumbling about? Chanting a little prayer before you die? Like, he's so belligerent with his... That's so good. Like, he's so good. You fool, don't you realize yet you're up against the perfect weapon? Which is so deep because it's not just it's a literal interpretation because, of course, Cell believes himself to be perfect, right? So it takes on a better meaning. That could be a badass line just against any character, I guess, especially a character that would be like an android or like a construct, like I am the perfect weapon. Like the Terminator could say that, but for him to say it means a lot more too because he's the perfect, he believes himself to be perfect, so, don't you realize yet, you fool, don't you realize yet you're up against the perfect weapon? And then they just keep lining up to die, and then, no chance, you have no chance. I can't really match the way he says that when he's getting mad that they keep trying to help. And then, you're all so eager to die, aren't you? Well, all you had to do was ask. And then, this must be hard for you with all those wounds. I'm sure this makes them burn. And the way he says that is very entertaining. Like, I don't know. That episode just checks all the boxes. All the emotional monologue, Vegeta overcoming his pride, Tien, motivating everyone else to go in first, Piccolo, showing his love for Gohan, Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, all kind of having their own backstories and motivation, right? Like, it's so much going on. Every character plays a role. The villain... It's like when characters are fully committed, right? This is sort of the game theory point that characters are fully committed. The villain's fully committed, right? The hero's fully committed. There's no sort of fake pseudo sympathy, right? They're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for what they love and who they love, right? Goku and Gohan, and that's why it's so hard for Vegeta because he isn't fighting for that reason, but now he finds it in himself to do it. But no, those lines are classic. Like, it seems simple, but this is exactly what you want at this point, right? No more messing around, no more toying around. It's just full on. This must be hard for you with all those wounds. I'm sure this makes them burn. And then, what on earth are you mumbling about? Chanting a little prayer before you die? You fool, don't you realize yet you're up against the perfect weapon? And then when everybody starts helping Gohan too, it's like they just keep lining up to die. Or, you're also eager to die, aren't you? Well, all you had to do was ask, and then no chance, you have no chance. And then that starts to almost make you think the tide's turning. The fact that he's getting so upset, and that he actually has to exhaust a certain amount of energy for it. Vegeta also being motivated, like, could this actually work? So part of Vegeta is like out of pride that he wouldn't want to do that, but also he almost doesn't believe that it would do any good. But if those inferior fighters can have that much of an impact, right, of course he can too. But yeah, that one is pretty deep. Like, don't you realize you're up against the perfect weapon?